There are several current campaigns. The one pictured here is from the New Jersey Council on Developmental Disabilities. There's another from Special Olympics, not to use the word retarded. A bill has passed Congress to end the use of the R word. Several weeks ago, my morning drive time DJ made me proud by referring to recent national R word activities on her show. Since the civil rights movement in the 1960s, the media has been encouraged to avoid stereotypical language. People with disabilities are the largest minority in the nation. Here are some notable name changes. The American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities was once the American Association on Mental Retardation before making a change in 2007. Families of people with disabilities are savvy. The ARC, which was organized by a small group of parents in 1950, was originally known as the National Association for Retarded Citizens. Since 1992, it's been just the ARC of the United States. Several federal agencies for years continued to use the word handicapped in their program materials because that was the word used in the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. If you check their documents and websites now, you'll see the change to people with disabilities. And besides, you've all seen and heard the news, we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of the ADA this year. We still have work to do, of course. Signs in parking places and next to restrooms are almost universally labeled handicapped rather than the more correct word accessible. Accessible parking, accessible restrooms, accessible seating. It'll take another small revolution to phase handicapped out of use. Finally, people with disabilities are part of our communities, and using People First language is doing the right thing. It's clear, it's simple, it's straightforward. It's just the right thing to do for your family members, friends, and neighbors. Now, I'm pleased to introduce Rich Baker to provide information to you on web accessibility.
Hello, it's good to be here. We're going to be talking about web accessibility design. It's important that so many people, I think it's 8% of the World Wide Web population, has some form of disability, and it's important that all of them be included in what's available on the web. So I have chosen today a Dream, which is Dreamweaver is a web design tool that most web developers will use. So some of the words I'm going to use are a little bit techy. But if you transfer those, give those to your web developer, or if you play in that world yourself, you'll appreciate it. First of all, we'll talk about the preferences that set up Dreamweaver, the Dreamweaver design tool, so that it will always remember to look for accessible issues and to put those forward. Alternate text is probably one of the most important accessibility tools within a website. That allows something called a screen reader to read the text that's on the screen and information about the images that are on the screen to a person who may be visually impaired or blind. Color is important on the web. It's also important to make sure that those who are, that the colors that you're seeing, if they're communicating something to the user, that they can also be understood textually. Tables, there are different types of tables that we'll discuss. Forms, when somebody makes a form, somebody with a screen reader needs to know exactly what form field they're filling out. And then, of course, acronyms are very important. So let's go ahead and press forward with this. Okay, to set up Dreamweaver, the preferences are found. This is a screen reader, the Dreamweaver page that pops up initially. If you click on Edit and then Preferences, this next slide will pop in. There we go. Select all four of those boxes at the top of the screen, or in the middle of the screen there, and then the very bottom one. I won't go into the details on those. Just trust me, WebAIM organization came up with those, and they seem to work quite well. Alternate text are extremely important, like I said, to screen readers. Screen readers are what the person who is visually impaired will use to actually read the screen, so they can actually surf the web just like anybody else. And so any text that's on the screen will be read very easily with a screen reader. Images, however, are very difficult because there's no information, no textual information typically about it. Well, that's what alt text tags are for within the web page code, HTML, PHP, or whatever code may be used. And so make sure that your web developer uses alt text to describe that image. If it's an image of a tree, and that image is important to what people need to understand about what you're trying to communicate, then be sure to put what's important about that tree in that alt text. Okay, something else about alt text. Remember, it is an image of something, or it's a logo of something. Never use the term logo of or image of, because your screen reader is going to do that automatically. It knows it's an image. It's looking for an alt text. So just start with tree or oak or green leaf or whatever it is that you're trying to describe on the page. If the image is just eye candy, if it's just there to add color to the page, just put a couple of double quotes in there, and the screen reader is going to skip right over the image because time is of the essence when you're listening to a screen reader. Persons who have visual impairment of some sort or are totally blind are listening to a screen reader, and they don't need to hear image of blank or even the terms image of. That's going to take extra time that is just going to waste their time. So use that capability within the web development tool. For links, try not to use the term click here, and this is so prevalent, and it is very difficult not to do. So you almost have to be creative in the way that you put links in. Try not to use the term click here, because the screen reader is going to be is going to use the term click here. It'll say link to click here. That doesn't make any sense, and so you need to use a term such as visit the University of Southern Mississippi's website and link the University of Southern Mississippi. And so that makes sense when the screen reader is involved. Be sure and let the individual, the user, know what kind of link they're going to. If it's going to be a PDF, let them know it's a PDF. So go ahead and put that in the title. Let them know also if it's a certain image, if it's a certain size. And if it's very large, then let them know this is 6 megabytes, this is 20 megabytes, whatever it may be. Kind of let them know what's coming. Make sure not to use the actual URL, especially if the URL is extremely large, because what the screen reader will do is it will actually start with visit http:// and so forth. It'll read the whole thing. That doesn't tell anybody anything. So you want to use the good example there, visit Dell support for device drivers, and then link that whole URL as into that regular text.